Madeline, and if you have been keeping up with this channel recently, then you'll know that I started reading the A Court of Thorns and Roses series all the way back in September, but then got really into it at the beginning of this year in January. And I read the first 3 novels in the series very quickly after each other. Then I read A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J Maas, and then now I'm currently reading A Court of Silver Flames and thoroughly enjoying it. But because I didn't really expect to like the fantasy genre so much as I am, before that I had only read Harry Potter and Percy Jackson, and I was kind of put off by Lord of the Rings. I never tried to read the books, but I watched the first movie partly and I just didn't enjoy it, so I just thought that fantasy was not really my thing. But now that I started reading it, I want to keep reading more. I've already started the Shadow and Bone series by Leigh Bardugo. I already made a little vlog about that as well, but today I wanted to talk about the books, the fantasy books that I plan on reading in the next few months. I don't really want to give myself a deadline to finish reading these books, but just know that there will probably be some content about those books in the few coming months. So let's go ahead. First up, A Court of Silver Flames. Like, I started reading this last week. I'm already on page 144. I am going to make a reading vlog about this. I just haven't really started vlogging it because I've been ill and you can kind of still hear it, but I didn't want to appear on camera ill, but I still really wanted to read. But do expect a video on this huge book. This novel follows Nesta and Cassian after the whole Hybern War that appeared in A Court of Wings and Ruin. And like, I'm so here for it. I'm loving it so far. Cassian and Nesta are 2 of my favorite characters, I believe, in the series, so it's nice to have a full book just for them. I don't have my books yet, but I've ordered Siege and Storm and the 3rd book in the Shadow and Bone series. I just can't remember the title at the moment. They should be arriving soon. As I was editing this video, I got the message on Vinted that the person who was going to send me the books didn't. And so the order got cancelled and I had to place a new order with someone else. So yeah. So I'll probably start reading those after A Court of Silver Flames. And to be honest, I have no idea what happens in those. I also have Stardust by Neil Gaiman. This is a standalone novel. I think it was written in the 90s. As far as I can tell, this is a novel set in the Victorian age. So it's like historical / fantasy, which I'm very interested in reading. This novel is about Tristan, who wants to give a star to his lover, and then he comes into contact with fairies and stuff. We'll see. I haven't read anything by Neil Gaiman. I did watch Good Omens, the TV show with David Tennant and Michael Sheen. I really like that, so I'm actually really looking forward to reading this as well. I'm kind of wondering if I should read this right after I finish A Court of Silver Flames before I start with the continuation of the Shadow and Bone series, because I'm actually really looking forward to this one. I'm also currently reading the 3rd book of the Percy Jackson series, Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse. I have been reading this for quite a while now, but I listened to this podcast called The Newest Olympian, where this guy reads a chapter every week and just discusses it, and it's really fun. So I'm kind of reading along, but I'm behind by like a couple of months in chapters. So I should probably like get through this so that I can catch up with the podcast, because I actually really like it. This is a reread, so I've read this series before, and I've also read some of the other Rick Riordan series. I've read the Magnus Chase series as well, and I started the Heroes of Olympus series, but I never finished that. I don't think I finished the 1st book, but I might try that again later. Now I'm just going to look at the story graph TBR, because I also want to talk about some of the books that I just don't own yet. I also want to read Crescent City by Sarah J Maas. Crescent City is a I think, urban fantasy series. The first novel is called House of Earth and Blood, and wow, it's 816 pages. Nice. It's about this girl, Bryce, whose friend gets murdered one day, and they like lock someone up. They catch someone who supposedly done it, but then the crimes like start happening again. So this other guy, Hunt Athalar, I don't know. He's a falling angel. I have no idea what that means at the moment. Do I picture like an actual guy with wings? I don't know. He's done some things, and in order to not be punished or to be released from his punishment, he'll have to help Bryce find the murderer. So we will see how that goes. I have to admit that I'm not that blurb, that description doesn't really like excite me or anything, but I just need to know if it's as good as A Court of Thorns and Roses and the other books in the series. Like, I just need to know. So that's why I put it on my list as well. I also really want to read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I also really want to read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Again, I know not a lot. This is about Addie LaRue, who in 1714 becomes immortal, but she gets forgotten by everyone she meets, which is kind of her curse. And so she lives through the centuries, and then one day she meets someone who remembers her, which is of course strange, not what she's used to. And I really like historical fiction that is like chronicle over the years with like one family in the center of it. So I'm kind of feeling that it has a little bit of that in it, but then also I guess some mystery and fantasy elements. So I'm looking forward to that. I've never read anything by V.E. Schwab, so we'll see how that goes. I don't have that novel yet, but I'm sure I can get my hands on it soon. Lastly, I also want to read Circe by Madeline. I had read The Song of Achilles, and so I don't think I can escape reading Circe. Circe is about the myth of Circe. She's a witch. I think she's Helios's daughter, but I'm not sure. And that's all I know for now. I know that she like briefly appears in Percy Jackson, but I can't exactly remember him. I think she's the one who turns Percy into a hamster or a guinea pig. A guinea pig, I think. I'm not entirely sure. I don't actually know a lot about the myth of Circe, so this is going to be my introduction to it. Again, I don't own this book yet, but we will change that soon, I think. So these are the fantasy books that I plan on reading in the next few weeks and months. Do let me know, have you read any of these books? What did you think of them? And do you know any other fantasy books that I should read? Also let me know. Like, I want to make this a little series on my channel. I want to fully dive into the fantasy genre, and I also kind of want to jump into the sci-fi genre as well. If you want to watch my video on A Court of Thorns and Roses, you can do so here. And here you can watch a video that is selected by the YouTube algorithm, and it'll like say what you will like. Let me know if they were correct. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye!